work journalism, only to find out the work would be delayed until today. He missed his mounts at Santa Anita, but he is back to get aboard the Kentucky Derby favorite, who puts in his final preparation before the 151st run for the Roses. But it's not just journalism will be on track, as his rival Sovereignty will get his final leg stretcher before the big race. Also, we're going to have an update from Brad Cox. Pan Street, injured yesterday, out of the Kentucky Derby. And we'll have all that and more right here at Churchill Downs. It is day 3 of breakfast at the Kentucky Derby. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the First Turn Club here at Churchill Downs. We are a week away from the Kentucky Derby. Post positions have been drawn, and the final work's coming up here in the next hour. Mike Joyce joined by Joe Talamo and a very frigid Simon Bray. We've been talking about the weather all week, and we had a little bit of rain yesterday. It seems like the track's in good condition today, though. Yeah, I was here last night for the first 5 races, covering open night here last night. The track was tremendous because yesterday afternoon we had wind, we had sunshine, and that's, you know, on the show yesterday I was talking about that 48-hour window before the next rains come in. It's perfect for these final preps. And Joe, we're going to be looking at some of the main contenders, 2 of the biggest names in the game right now in Sovereignty and journalism. Yeah, I'm so excited for this morning. I really think they made the right decision to move those works back a day because, as you can see on TV here, the track is in absolutely pristine condition this morning. Let's take a look as they drew post positions yesterday and the morning line has been installed. We know where they're going to be running out of and what odds we are expecting them to be. Journalism from post 8 installed as the morning line favorite, not surprising at all, at odds of 3 to 1. Second choice, Sovereignty at 5 to 1. What do you think about that, Simon Bray, as your old boss has a pretty good chance to win his second Derby? Yeah, and I think from a post position standpoint, I think the top 2 favorites, I mean, they would draw them perfectly, in my opinion. Journalism, post 8, I think that's a great spot. 3rd most prolific post position in Derby history. Mage won from that spot. And then you got Sovereignty with his running style, drawn to the outside. I think that's good. A lot of speed down on the inside. Citizen Bull, we'll touch on it later. Rodriguez is stablemate, just 2 posts over. So there's going to be a lot of speed down on the inside. How does that affect the way this race plays out? Do you want to see the speed down the inside so they can all hook up early, or how does that affect how you ride this race? Well, I think for the #1 Citizen Bull, he has absolutely one thing to do, and that's just to send as hard as he can from that rail position. And even Rodriguez, I mean, the 4-post isn't ideal for him as well. So both of the Bob Baffert trainees are going to have to be pretty aggressive out the gate just to make sure they don't break slow and get shuffled back. This is as picturesque a morning as we have had here since we've come to Churchill Downs. And we are going to see some great horses on the track today and a team of reporters spanning the ground. Of course, we have Gabby Gaudet, Andy Biancone, Scott Hazelton in from Lexington joins the show for the first time. And we also have, of course, Maria Montgomery bringing you all the flavor. But the story today is journalism, and standing by the Michael McCarthy barn is our very own Andy Biancone.
Michael, as Simon and Joe were saying, pristine track conditions today. The surface is fluffy. It's dried out beautifully with all that sunshine and wind yesterday afternoon. So Michael McCarthy has confirmed journalism will be putting in his final breeze before the run for the Roses, a nice 5 furlongs. His regular exercise rider, Mark, will be aboard the pony, and they'll back up together. He doesn't usually go with the pony, but always good, especially for colts, to have a reminder of going with the pony again. And journalism just happy as can be this morning. Alberto Rispoli obviously tried to make it back to Santa Anita yesterday, but got stuck in Atlanta, ended up just flying back here, made it for the draw, and now he's going to work his Derby horse. But all systems a go, Scott. We'll check back in with the crew after the work.
And all systems go for Sovereignty this morning after pushing back the work to today, given the track conditions, as Joe mentioned at the top of the show. He'll be working around 7:15. He's going to have a workmate and a regular workmate in a horse by the name of Playa Del Mar, who we saw running a maiden special weight just a few weeks back at Keeneland Racecourse. I've had an opportunity to spend a little bit of time with Bill Mott, in a very good mood this morning as he gets ready to turn Sovereignty loose out on the track. He says that Playa Del Mar will just give him a little interest, give him a target, and order to keep him interested in the workout. I asked him how far he's going to work. He said between 4 and 5 furlongs. So we look forward to seeing the second choice on the morning line, Sovereignty, Gabby, work this morning here beneath the Twin Spires.
All right, sounds good, Scott. I'm here outside of the Bob Baffert barn. I actually just saw Bob pass by a few moments ago. I said, "What's Rodriguez doing this morning?" This is a direct quote. He said, "We gon' breeze," just like that. So obviously he hopped into the car with some of the owners and went to the front side to watch the work. Rodriguez will be working 5 furlongs with exercise rider Eric Garcia in the irons. We're also going to see Citizen Bull hit the track. He's just going to gallop, and he will be working tomorrow, as Bob kind of teased yesterday when we interviewed him. Speaking of teased, we did catch up with Brad Cox. We're going to get an update in just a little bit with regards to both Tapan Street and Final Gambit, obviously working yesterday. Mike?
Okay, 2 things. One, I need that hat that Gabby has. I'm going to hit the gift shop. Second, her Bob Baffert impression is just nails. At any rate, right now the track is closed as they resurface. That training window is from 7:15 to 8 o'clock, and that's when we're going to see the Derby contenders come onto the track. So anxious moments right now as everyone's getting ready to come out and stretch their legs, as we have a beautiful sunrise here as the sun comes up here over Louisville, Kentucky. And the track condition we talked about today should be no issue. I think Michael McCarthy, we think about what trainers do. With Michael McCarthy, journalism's been working and racing exclusively in Southern California. They don't have rain there. He's never had a deal with a wet track. I think that decision yesterday was more about why introduce a new variable this late in the game. We'll get your reaction on that in a moment, but right now, let's get to Scott Hazelton.
Michael, we're here just at Barn 19 and just going over the little bit of preparation, I should say more than a little bit of preparation from Bill Mott with his exercise rider, Sovereignty. And you can see Sovereignty in the yellow saddlecloth. Bill Mott is coming over to check out Sovereignty, his Derby contender here. But some great opportunity to be back here and be amongst these competitors as we're going to quiet it down a little bit. And you can see Bill just going over some final tuning up of Sovereignty, and he'll walk the shed row here for a little bit before heading out here in the next few minutes. But he was speaking to his exercise rider, as I mentioned, just kind of going over the game plan as to what they're going to execute here in the next few moments. So Sovereignty, he's going to walk the shed row under tack and then head out for his final prep for Derby 151.
Simon, I know this is a horse you're really looking forward to see his work.
Yeah, I really am, because I think he's improving at the right time, and having worked for Bill for so long, that's just typical of him. I mean, there's no stone unturned there. He's going over the horse. What he's doing, he's making sure that he checks everything: girth, bandages, bridle. And again, it goes back to what I said at the start of this show. You've got to narrow that margin of error down to where it's very narrow. I mean, very, very slim. So anything that, possibly could come loose, fall off, he double checks and checks to make sure it's perfect.
Now, Joe, we're going to talk about something you know a little bit about, and that's traveling, the life of a jockey. People ask you where you live. Usually the answer is about 30,000 feet above Nebraska as you're flying back and forth across the country. And those problems hit Umberto yesterday. He flew out here to work journalism. The work gets pushed back a day. He can't make it back to Santa Anita. Look at this. I mean, I'm sure you've had something like this happen to you.
Oh, yeah. I actually, when I was coming back to work, I want revenge for the Derby. Something like this happened. I forgot where I got stuck at, but then I ended up having to take another connection flight here. But look, this is the life of a jockey. I know this is absolutely insane to a normal person, but I mean, this is it. Like, I don't think Umberto was like, oh man, this is going to be brutal. It's like, no, this is what I have to do to work a Derby horse. And to be honest with you, I would be happy if I was him that I'm here to work him.
Yep.
Because especially for his last word, I would not want anybody else on that horse, because this is it. If he goes way too fast or way too slow, I mean, that's a total botched work. So I would definitely want to be the one, being Alberto, to be on top of him for his last work.
I mean, if your reading skills are not good, I'll summarize it quickly, right? Took a red eye, came here, landed in Cincinnati. His agent picked him up. He drove out there at 3 in the morning, picked him up, drove here an hour, got here at 6:40, was meant to work the horse 7:15, canceled the work 7:40. He was on an 8:30 flight back to Louisville, made that flight to Atlanta. That got canceled. There was a 2-hour connection for another flight. He wasn't going to make the races, so they came back here. You following along? You got me?
I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Simon. He's not reading off a script.
No, they came back here, spent the night here last night, going to work the horse, get back on a plane right at Santa Anita, and then come back on a red eye, land here tomorrow, and stay the rest of the week. There you have it.
Let's go to Andy Biancone.
Alberto Rispoli obviously enduring a travel nightmare yesterday, but all systems a go. Very good that he gets to work his Derby horse this morning, taking another round in the barn here. They're just keeping journalism walking to keep him warmed up as we wait for the tractors to get off the track, and we will make our way to the track as soon as they give the clear for Derby horses. But he's just going to go an easy 5/8 on his own, no company. It's really just about keeping him happy today. He is going to back up with his pony alongside him just to give him company, and exercise rider Mark wants to obviously be close to his horse. But an easy work today. We know we ran a huge race in the Santa Anita Derby, and sometimes after running big efforts, you have to be conscious as a trainer of horses regressing and such. So just at this point, keeping him bubble wrapped, happy work, stretching his legs, that is the main goal here.
And as you said, Joe, if you're in Umberto's position, you want to be the one who's on that final work. You want to make sure things go as planned. You can't go too fast. You can't go too slow. You can't win the Derby in the final work, but you can certainly lose it.
Oh, without a doubt. And Simon, to Mike's point, Umberto knows this horse so well. I know he's worked him just about every single work before and after since I think he broke his maiden. So he knows all of his nuances, good, bad, or whatever. So I think that's what's most important, too, especially for only being 6 days out.
No question. I mean, noting the difference from one day to another is very, very important.
Let's check in with Gabby Gaudet, who's standing by with the champion 2-year-old.
Yes, this is Citizen Bull. He is walking out to the track right now. And we mentioned earlier today that obviously Citizen Bull is just going to be going out for a routine gallop after kind of his schedule shifting in here to Churchill Downs. Bob wanted to have a couple of easy days with him. He is scheduled to work tomorrow.
But don't forget, Rodriguez is going to breeze out there today. Okay, so Bob Baffert putting the 2-year-old champ from yesteryear. Obviously, he's 3 now running in the Derby. I probably should have clarified that, but he didn't need to.
He's probably going to be leading the field down the backside. Him, I mean, from that post we talked about. And then, you know, we haven't mentioned East Avenue as well. I mean, Brendan Walsh has already said that his best races are when he's pushing the pace like he did in the Bluegrass, so he's going to be pressing as well.
Is it going to be too fast? Are they all going to go? I feel like when we expect that, sometimes it doesn't materialize, Joe.
I mean, it's literally going to depend on the break. I really don't think Citizen Bull has any other choice than to send away from there. The only time he's won is when he's been in front. I don't think he's ever had dirt in his face in his career. And again, East Avenue, his best races are in front. He had a perfect trip laying second in the Risen Star, and that's probably one of his worst races. And his best races are when he's in front. I mean, I think they're going to cook along pretty good, at least 46 and change, I would imagine.
And then you got Owen Almighty, Mike, that some of the ownership groups said he's better around, you know, going a mile 1/8 and further on the lead, and some of the other connections want to take him back. So he's drawn to the far outside, yeah. But, I mean, as of now, it sets up great for sovereignty and journalism.
Clean faces win races, though. Don't forget.
Yep.
Horses on the front end. Let's check in with Scott.
Well, Bill is sitting atop his steed as he gets ready for the work with Sovereignty. What's the plan going into this final prep?
We just want a useful work. I mean, we put a real good work in him last time, you know, a week ago, and you know, he was out the 7/8 the other day in 125. I'm probably not looking for something like that, but we'll go from, you know, the 5/8 pole and get just a useful 5/8 in him. I'm not looking for I'm not looking to break any track records. We just want to maintain some fitness and and have a nice, smooth work in him before race day.
How far out in front will Playa del Mar be if everything goes to plan?
Well, you never know. Sometimes that doesn't work out exactly like you like it to, but, probably a couple lengths. And he'll have a target to go with him for, part of the work, just to get him started and get him focused. That's all.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
Let's check in with Andy.
Scott, we're walking over with journalism to the Gap right now. A couple of Derby horses are already on the Gap, walking and standing, but the McCarthy crew opted just to walk in the barn a couple more rounds so that journalism doesn't have to wait on the Gap excessively long. But he's here walking under Alberto Rispoli with his hot walker. We see Mark on the pony ahead, and I don't even think Mark is going to grab him. He just wants to go, give the horse a little company, be able to get eyes on the horse he's been galloping throughout the winter, and watch him put in that final work. Gabby.
Andy, thank you. We actually were standing by Rodriguez just a moment ago, but I really wanted to kind of show the fanfare that is Kentucky Derby week. There are so many fans and connections lining the fence here, watching these horses come onto the track. It's just incredible. There's absolutely nothing like it. You have media everywhere. You have fans. You have the connections. Everyone coming out just to get a glimpse of these Derby horses. They are the stars of the week.
Just the access is just unbelievable. That's one of the things I love about horse racing. Never forget, horse racing is the only sport where you pay more money to get further away from the action in the grandstand. The suites are at the top and general admission is right on the rail. That's the beauty of this game. As we are seeing horses come out of the track is officially open. So we are going to be getting these works to you as they happen in real time. The most important of which is journalism. And we are going to keep a keen eye on the Kentucky Derby favorite. Right now, we're going to take a look at journalism as he is on the track. He's making his way onto the track as we take a look at the Derby favorite. And he's been darn near perfect throughout his career. As you can see, for trainer Michael McCarthy, Alberto Rispoli, his busy travel plans aside, he's in the saddle and getting ready to do some work here, Joe.
I mean, he looks a picture of health. Absolutely great, jogging really good. I just love the way he's like holding his neck up, has his ears up, which we were talking about, nice and happy. And again, Alberto knows this horse so well, Simon. I mean, he's with the pony, acting really well. I think the pony's with him just to make sure everything goes really smooth before and after going to the pole. But I mean, I think he looks phenomenal here warming up.
Sam Man out there to his inside as well, you can see. Look, if he was a kid in a class, his report card would be perfect. He's the teacher's pet. He looks the part. He moves right. He does everything right. I mean, there's no faults. I mean, from his races to his works to everything to his demeanor. I'm a big. I mean, one of the big things for me in races like this is the horse can have all the ability in the world, but if they don't have it between the ears, I mean, I think that's the difference maker. And I think that's the difference maker in not only in horse racing, but in all sports, to have the right mentality. And he certainly got it. And to Joe's point with Alberto breezing him, I think it's great. You know, training horses, it's difficult, it's hard, but, you know, the easy part, well, I wouldn't say it's easy, but the most fundamental part is just be there and pay attention, because then you notice differences from day to day to day to day.
By the way, this is why this sport is great, right? That could be your Derby exacta right there. Sandman and journalism, two of your main contenders walking onto the track together as they get ready to go. And journalism going to put in that preparation. So what are they doing right now, Joe? Because he's on the outside of the rail going the opposite way around the track.
Yeah, so he's just warming up. Typically, you go on to the track here at Churchill Downs at about the 4.5 mile pole, and then he's backtracking probably to the wire, maybe the 8th pole. He's going to stand for a little bit, let him kind of gather himself up, and then the pony horse is just going to bring him to the pole nice and smooth, and he's going to break off probably 1/8 of a mile before his start, and then just try and smooth right into that work.
Yeah, what we touched on yesterday, the transition into the work is key. I mean, that sets the tone for everything,
yes,
in my opinion.
So as he's making his way to the starting point, we're going to take a look at Rodriguez as he's about to start his breeze here. Baffert's horses always work very well, and he works them fast. Work them fast, they run fast. As we take a look at one of the presumptive pace setters in this year's Derby and your Wood Memorial winner. So there's the transition into the work, Simon. What'd you see?
Yeah, I mean, just smooth. He's in hand. He's listening to the rider. You know, he's not out of control. And that's the one thing about Bob Baffert's horses, Joe, and you know, you worked a lot of them. They are fast. They're more often on the lead, but they're not doing it in a runaway fashion. They're all up there because they just have a high cruising speed.
Yeah, they really do. And you could see with Eric Garcia aboard, he doesn't have a big hold of this horse, kind of loose rein. And actually later on in the show, we'll show you guys on the Equicizer kind of the difference between that. But this is actually exactly like in the Wood Memorial. Had a loose rein and relaxed at the same time, and then when he gives him the cue to kind of pick him up, he's there for him. And I love this right now. This is absolutely perfect, really good rhythm. And again, this is their last work. We're only 6 days out. They don't need a absolutely crazy work or anything. This is all just, you know, last work. You want everything to go smooth, and I think he looks fantastic here.
Phenomenal. 5-star workout right there. I mean, the rider's motionless. He might just drop down a little bit, smooch to him to finish up, but there's going to be no aggressive handwriting to ask him to gallop out or anything. He doesn't need it right now, and he's just floats over the ground. Very smooth action, switches leads on cue. Excellent.
How much a part of the success for Bob Baffert is what he does with these horses in the morning, Simon?
Oh, it's 95% of it. I mean, he comes from a quarter horse background. That's why they're all so good out of the gate. And he believes that good horses, I mean, he said it time and time again, I've talked to him about it. He believes that good horses need to be trained.
Journalism. Let's take a look as he is moving into his work here right now, Simon. And there you can see Umberto's just starting to get him rolling.
I think you're going to see much the same here. Look, I've watched a lot of his works throughout the winter months, and a lot of them have been in company on the bridle, very, very easy. He doesn't need to do that, but he just, I mean, he looks like a horse. He's built for the Kentucky Derby, right, Joe? Physically, he's got, you know, something to him. Could get knocked around a bit. We saw that in the Santa Anita Derby, overcame it, and he moves beautifully.
He really does. And again, we're talking about rhythm. This is absolutely perfect. Again, he's not rank. Umberto just has a nice loose rein on him, and you could see his ears kind of flipping up back and forth early on, and I love this. Again, he's just cruising. And again, we're only 6 days out. He doesn't need anything flashy. This is just kind of a maintenance work, make sure everything's good. And I mean, I love the way he's going. Look at that stride.
His stride's unbelievable. And he switched lead. I mean, the transition in lead changes where he goes from his left lead on the turn to the right lead, it's just so fluid. I mean, absolute poetry in motion. I mean, again, 5-star workout. You wouldn't expect anything less. Tremendous. It's worth Umberto hanging around for.
We're all wrenching our heads over our neck because he's galloping out right behind us as we're sitting here.
He looks really,
Yeah.
I think 6 stars for me, Simon.
Yeah, if you could, yeah. I mean, the tempo, it's, you know.
Tempo's everything. He's like, I'm looking at him right now going to the 3/4 pole. Absolute poetry in motion. He's not doing too much, but he's doing just enough to where he's going to get a lot out of this work 6 days out. And again, I think this was so good that Umberto was able to work this horse, because again, he knows him off the back of his hand just from working him so many times.
And another thing we look at, Mike, real quick, it's hard to explain. So like Joe and I have been around horses, the tempo, it's hard to convey that to the viewer, but just the way he travels, the way he bounces over the ground, and the way he just listens to the rider, and he's so professional.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And with all he's got to overcome on Saturday, he's not rank. You know, the rider doesn't have to pull him around to pull him up. I mean, it's just excellent.
So there's a look at journalism, and one of his main contenders, Sovereignty, is starting his work here. And this is a horse who his works have been the topic of a lot of discussion lately, Simon.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you a little comparison maybe after this work or a little later on. I'll do the same with journalism, especially with Sovereignty, how he's improved since the winter months. He's a horse that, you know, wasn't an extremely good workhorse early on in the year, and he's learned with racing. He's getting better. And this is as good as I've seen him work here. I've seen him work in company and just get outworked by his stablemate. And the fact that he's on the bridle here in company, I know they're not going that fast, but if you know the horse, and I'm going to give you some insight into that in a little bit, and you can see the progression. I mean, this is, again, back to the analogy of kids in school. This is a kid that was probably, you know, as far as ability at the beginning of the year, maybe middle of the class. Now he's just risen to the top.
Yeah, he was the smartest kid in class, but he wasn't doing all his homework.
Yeah.
As we take a look, what's it like, Joe, to ride a horse like this? When you're working a horse of this caliber, can you feel the difference between that and, say, just your everyday allowance horse?
Oh, 100%, and that's what makes it so fun. Actually, getting back to Bob Baffert, I think one of the best workhorses I ever sat on was Mackenzie. I was fortunate to work him quite a bit. he would work 111 and change, and it felt like it was 115. I mean, just absolute crazy. But that's the difference between good and bad horses, and that's what makes it so fun. It's just the way they can work so fast, so effortlessly. And I think that's what's good about watching horses in the Derby. You could tell the difference between if they go a minute and change very easy, or if it takes too much out of them.
Again, can you tell the difference between the type of horse you're riding, a speedball like Rodriguez or a deep closer like Sovereignty when you work them?
Say again?
Can you tell the difference between a speedy horse like Rodriguez or a horse who's a dead closer like Sovereignty when you're working them in the morning?
Yes and no. Like some speed horses will get a little bit more keen than, say, others. But again, with Sovereignty, a horse that's coming from behind, to me, he looked more on the bridle today than anything, which is good. So hopefully he won't get himself too far back.
Yeah, that's
in
exactly
that race.
right. Yeah. I mean, look, I hate to be boring, but it's a 5-star workout again. You wouldn't expect anything different, right? These are the athletes at the top of our sport. It's like taking any major league athlete and watching them train and work out. They're all going to be good. So outstanding. And again, look at his demeanor. I was looking at stuff like this. You know, when people go to the yearling sales and they buy yearlings, one of the first things I was always taught, watch them come in the ring, and once they hear the auctioneer, how do they react? They blow up.
Yeah.
And, you know, it kind of gives you their mental constitution. And he's good. I don't know whether we're going to go ahead and compare these.
I'm going to give him 4 out of 5, too. I thought that was probably exactly what Bill might want.
Yes.
Just kind of lay right off of that stablemate and then just finish accordingly. And not a huge gallop out, but he looks really good right after his work here now.
Right. They're supposed to be excellent looking.
Right.
Yes.
You're looking for a negative angle rather than a positive. They're all good. You know, it's the difference between, you know, top-class athletes. They're all good, like you, Joe, top-class jockeys. The difference between, I think, is one that makes fewer mistakes. It's not one's better than the other.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing, as a jockey, you're going to make mistakes, but whoever makes the leads, for sure.
So here's East Avenue, another one of the horses that's expected to be on the pace. And he is a horse who's always been striking. I mean, he walks into a paddock. You don't need to be an expert horseman to know you're looking at a serious athlete. What are we seeing here, Joe?
So right here is the complete opposite of the first two works. The rider aboard him is really just trying to slow him down. I don't think they're going overly fast, but you could tell he has an absolute ton of horse right now. If he would give the reins to this horse, I think he would open up 2 or 3 lengths pretty easily. But again, we're only 6 days out from the Kentucky Derby. I don't think they don't want to do too much, Simon. But again, just enough to where he's paying attention with that target right in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a horse. I mean, he kind of practices like he plays, right? I mean, if you look at his resume, he's had 3 great races and 2 just awful. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. All or nothing. He's gone from winning Grade 1s to finish last, and the difference is when he's not on the lead. And as he gallops out here, you can see how aggressive he is. But he needs to be on the lead. He needs to be on the lead.
And there you can see him galloping out an East Avenue. A Ricky Bobby horse. If he's not first, he's last.
Yeah.
A little bit of all or nothing as he's making his way around the turn. Let's go to Gabby Gaudet.
All right, guys, here with Manny Franco, who obviously was aboard East Avenue for the work. You've never ridden this horse in the afternoon. How important is it to have that experience on him in the morning?
I'm just happy to be here to, know the horse, and it's a big opportunity because I get to know him, and he's a really cool horse. He just did 5 furlong like nothing. When he pulled up, he was walking to the barn, and he was not even breathing hard. So the horse is ready, and I'm just happy with the way he went.
All right, everybody's talking about Alberto Rispoli's schedule, but Manny, you've got a pretty crazy schedule too. When did you get in, and when are you leaving? I
got in last night by 9:45. My flight got delayed at home, so 2-hour delay. So then we take off at 8 something, got here at 9:45, and right here in the morning.
And now you're going to ride at Aqueduct.
Now I had to head out to Cincinnati and take my flight at 10:34, something like that, and get back home at 12:30. So and go straight to the room.
I know when I travel, it takes me some time to kind of settle in and wake up. How do you guys stay motivated and get ready, get that adrenaline going to ride races in the afternoon after such a crazy travel schedule?
I mean, I think this is the best 2 days in sport, and you just anxious to be here to to have this opportunity, I think that's what keep me like that motivated, and just I'm hungry. I wanna do good these 2 days.
Well, we wish you luck with your travels. Congratulations on a great winter at Aqueduct as well, and we'll see you in the Derby.
Thank you, Gabby.
The life of a jockey is they are jet setting back and forth. Smart move going to Cincinnati, because then you don't got to take a connection. You can just direct flight it.
Yeah, that's the one thing about Louisville Airport, which is a great airport to fly out of because the TSA line is almost non-existent and anybody's in it. But again, you do have to connect, especially I think he's going back to New York. But Cincinnati's only an hour and 10-minute drive, so straight there, not too bad.
And yeah, half. How do you drive?
90 miles.
He's
Slow
a
down,
jockey.
kid.
Yeah, Mike. It takes you an hour and a half.
As they say, pilots fly low.
Yeah.
Jockeys ride fast. As we have Tistastic out on the racetrack for Steve Asmussen, one of his 2 chargers. And they drew right next to each other in the Kentucky Derby. Here is Tistastic, slightly more accomplished than Publisher because, you know, he's won a race as he is 20-1 on the morning line. But let's take a look at him on the track this morning.
Yeah, I mean, look, they both got the same running style, and this is a horse who's just, I mean, if you've got any question marks about distance with any runner in here, this is not one of them. He's the horse guaranteed to get 1.25 miles. The way he runs, Steve said it, and Steve kind of trains like this. He trains him to kind of sit back and finish. So he usually works with Publisher, and they're drawn next to each other on Saturday, but it looks like he's going solo here. And if I know Steve, it's probably going to just be an easy half mile in 50.
Yeah, I wouldn't look for anything flashy here with Tistastic or Publisher earlier today. Again, Steve Asmussen is the complete opposite of, say, like Bob. You're not going to see a flashy 46 and change or 58 and change, especially for any of these horses 6 days out. You could see the rider looking at his watch. He's just going nice and easy. I don't know what the time's going to be. I would imagine it's a 49 and change, maybe 50.
Yep.
He's just absolutely cruising. I would just expect an easy gallop out and like 102 and change. Again, for me, this is 4 out of 5 stars. Just because it's nothing flashy, but this is just right what Steve wants to do for both of his horses.
This is where you have to know the players, Mike. This is why you can't jettison it in one day of the year and watch horses work. Because if you look at him compared to a journalism, you say, he doesn't look that good. You got another horse. He's a horse that in the afternoon has got no speed. He's exhibiting that here. More often than not, he works in company to make him do a little more because, you know, he just doesn't do much on his own. So, but physically and biomechanically, he looks great. And you saw the rider check his watch there about 8 times. Because if he came back in 48, let me tell you, he would hear it from Steve, right?
Yes, he would.
Right?
Yes, talk about like the different styles of training. Steve Asmussen and Bob Baffert. Baffert trains them all to be fast. Steve trains them all to come along on the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 different styles, you know, but they both work. They've both had tremendous success. As you know, this is the shot that a lot of the people get from the grandstand. I think the crazy thing is, you know, Steve Asmussen, 0 for 26. We touched on how it's the only race basically in the country he hasn't won. Wouldn't it be something if the maiden got his maiden broken in the Kentucky Derby?
That would be unbelievable. Let's check in with Gabby Gaudette standing by with Quiet Side.
Hey, Mike, I'm not standing by, I'm walking by, and not only Quiet Side, but Barber Road as well. This gray horse that Johnny Ortiz is on is now the stable pony. How long has he been a stable pony?
Just since December. Yeah.
Is he doing okay? Sometimes that can be hard.
It's very hard, but you know what? Look, he knows what day it is. He knows the show. He's been here before. He's helping her out a lot, actually. You know, he's keeping her calm. But he's been on this road before.
What's she doing today?
She just jogged 1.25 miles today, and we're going for a nice little walk. We're going back to the barn now.
Is she going to school at all?
Yeah, just haven't decided when.
All right, thank you.
Here with Bill Mott as Sovereignty continues to walk the shed row. Bill, from your perspective out on the track, how'd things go this morning?
He looked good. I mean, it went pretty much as planned, I'd say, going off. His target was in front of him, and, you know, they joined up at the head of the lane, and Sovereignty finished up from the 8th pole. He went ahead and, you know, we let him pick it up, and just a normal gallop out. But it looked good to me. The rider's happy, said he had plenty of horse. So the clockers haven't had time to respond to our request for the time yet, but, you know, maybe by next week we'll get it.
We'll check in before next week, so we appreciate all the access this morning, Bill, and we know you got a lot going on this morning, so thank you so much.
Thank you. But he went well. I was pleased pleased with what I saw. I mean, we didn't put as stiff a work in him as we did last week, but that was intentional. So,
Thank you, Bill.
all right.
Yeah, clocker stand. Bill Mott wants sovereignty's time.
Yeah.
Thanks.
101 and 4.
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, I can give you the splits. We got them right here, actually. So this is the official time we think. First quarter, 25 and 2. So look, I know how Bill works his horse. A lot of them individuals, but he likes to go slow and finish. 37 and 4 for 3/8. 101 and 4 for the 5/8. Galloped out 3/4 in 115. So that's great.
And that's what it looked like, too, visually.
Yeah.
They weren't looking to do anything crazy. Just wanted a little target just to make him pay attention. And then when he got in front, just kind of let his momentum take him out. And again, we're 6 days out. They're not looking for like a 112, 124 gallop out in 7/8. That was absolutely perfect.
Let's go to Andy.
Michael, journalism back in the barn, cooling out behind us now. Michael McCarthy went up to the front side to watch his work, so we're just awaiting his arrival, and Alberto Rispoli is going to talk to the team before he gets to us. But from what I can see, journalism took his work beautifully. He's not blowing a candle, not breaking a sweat, just a really nice, easy maintenance work. 101 out in 113, just everything you want to see for a final preparation. But we will get that information to you as soon as Michael gets back from the front side.
Yeah, got the splits here, Mike, too, real quick, because this is interesting. 13 and 3, so 25 and 4. He pretty much went the first opening quarter the same as Sovereignty. 37 and 3, Sovereignty 37 and 4. They both went 5/8 in 101 and 4, 101 and 2. Journalism finished up nice, 3/4 in 113, and they actually caught him going a mile, complete circuit here, 141. So
it's a pretty good gallop out.
Yeah, very good gallop out.
Now, talk to me about what she just said. Umberto's talking to the team before she talks. After the work, what's the communication with the jockey and the trainer, and what are they going to talk about, and what details are they going to get to?
Just like, did you feel anything different, today versus last week and stuff like that? And again, I'm sure they're delighted that Umberto was able to work this horse today, because he could tell within an instant, like, you know what, he does not feel the same as he did the last few weeks. His energy is different, for better or worse. And I just think that's imperative that he was able to work him today. So he's just kind of giving them all of those little details. But, I mean, visually, I'm sure he's all smiles and talking a lot of good things about him.
Yeah, I mean, look, from a trainer standpoint, less is best, right? You don't want to hear a whole bunch of, we need this, that. If it's just all good and you've had the same rider on, everything's fine.
And when you see that work, you're Michael McCarthy, and it is no news, because that's the good news. Is it, even though you have the tension of the Derby coming up in a week, is it a sense of relief to get that last work out of the way?
It is, but for me, when I was training, I thought the most important part of our work was the day after, because it can all go good, and if you come in the morning and things aren't right, it means nothing. But yeah, from like getting out there and taking, eliminating a huge risk, one final work, and you've gone through it. I mean, you can sleep a little better tonight. And
I don't know if risk is the right word. It's not risk, it's just variables, right?
Yes.
Just keeping those variables, the chances for things to go wrong.
Correct.
It's not really a risk. You're not risking anything.
No,
this is what they do every day.
Correct.
But it's just the more things that you can control, the more things you can make go right. That's what's imperative.
Right, you're exactly right. So it's just eliminating the variables. That's a better way to describe it, right? I mean, you've got to take as many variables out of it as possible.
So join the conversation. We're live on YouTube. Jump into the chat and give us your thoughts. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, you need to. It's outstanding. I know all of you younger than me probably have, if you're a dinosaur like I am and were born in the 70s, though. YouTube is a website. They have it on computers. Check us out, and you can continue to watch at FanDuel Racing on YouTube. After we sign off on the terrestrial network, we will continue our coverage from breakfast at the Kentucky Derby. Simon, meanwhile, is bundled up like he's at base camp at Everest, and there's some kids out in short sleeves on the fence.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's happening. There's a lot going on. I don't know what Edmund Hillary would have done in days like this, but I don't know how he got to Everest.
Lonnie Briley, the best story of this year's Kentucky Derby is Cole Battle, and we're going to take a look at Cole Battle right now on the racetrack. We got to see him with a gallop yesterday, and Lonnie Briley, he made an admonition after the horse did not win the Arkansas Derby. He said, I worked him light. I'm not going to work him light before the Kentucky Derby. He's not going to come in a short horse, Simon.
Everything about this is made for the Kentucky Derby from a storyline perspective. It's the $70,000 purchase going up against the $1 million horse. It's the Baffert, Pletcher, Asmussen machine going up against like a mom and pop store. I mean, it's great. And this horse, the way he got, it's just like an I mean, I hate to, it's like an old cowboy gallop,
It
right,
really
Joe?
is.
Head
Oh,
bowed,
yeah.
long, you know. This is what they do in the Midwest.
It's so funny, Simon. This is a horse, visually, just looking at him, that you would want a young rider that hasn't even ridden before to learn how to ride. This is absolutely picture perfect. This is actually the type of horse that, you know, when I was 12 or 13 years old, galloping horses on a farm, that they would put me on, just because you know they're not going to do anything silly. It teaches you how to keep your hands back. Whoever the rider is doing a great job just keeping their hands back on the withers to get him to put his head down going along, and I love it. Again, he's 3. He looks like a old pro just going along right there, and that's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, it's a lot easier, Mike, when their head is down like that rather than up. A lot of trainers, if a horse, you know, lifts his head up, they'll put what's called a set of draw reins on, and that puts a horse in that exact position. And what you get from that is, do you see how big his hind end is? It teaches them to use their hind end. You want to push off the back rather than pull with the front. So with the head bowed like that, it just creates a nice, you know, it gets the horse to use his head a little bit.
Look, he's wanting to go right here. He's wanting to get his head up and go.
Yeah, he's feeling really good, as you can see. But hats off to the team, Lonnie Briley and everyone, getting this horse ready for the Derby. Oh, time to take a bath. It's under 60 degrees. It wouldn't be getting a bath at the Bray Barn.
No
but let's
way.
check in with Gabby.
Yeah, it's a little chilly to be getting a bath, but here's Rodriguez getting a bath after his work this morning. Guys, I haven't really spoken to any of the connections yet. We're hoping to in just a few moments. But one thing that was really cool, I was standing by the gap and kind of watching this horse on the gallop out, and I heard Eric Garcia, his exercise rider and work rider today, talk over the radio back to Bob Baffert and said, perfect, that was perfect. So obviously, he was happy with the work, and hopefully we get some more information from trainer Bob Baffert. But one more observation. It's incredible. I have been to at least 5 different barns this morning, and this is the most crowded barn by far. We had so many workers, sovereignty, journalism, everything like that. And the biggest crowd has congregated here back at Bob Baffert's barn.
It always does. I mean, he is the rock star of this sport. There's no two ways about it, and he has been for 40 years.
Yeah, and he's been absent for a couple of years, and I think that has forced a lot of people, you know, he's happy to be back here. And
they missed him.
Yeah.
They missed him. Look, say what you want about Bob. His personality is big, and it attracts eyeballs. Whether they love him or hate him, people will watch him, and his success in this race cannot be denied.
All-time record, 6 wins.
Yeah, and not only that, speaking about dirt racing, I mean, think about a classic that he has not won, at least multiple times. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
I want to correct you. You said he won the Los Al Futurity 10 times. He's won it 14 times.
14 times.
Just wanted to keep
That's
you.
it?
Yeah, that's it. At any rate, we're going to keep our eyes open for other horses on the track today, as we have another shot of the fans. And the access that they're being offered
is unparalleled. I mean, they're letting people in here each and every morning, and it's great, and it builds up the buzz here in Louisville you know, locally. The locals come in, and of course, I think the Derby for the locals, for those that can't come on Saturday, a lot of people, you know, it's a full crowd, 150,000. Derby has become the day where the locals show up.
And then that 5-0 Tuesday they started with.
5-0 Tuesday, Wednesday is Wednesday.
I did not know that.
That's a new one. Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah.
That flew right over my head.
Well, a lot of things fly over your head when you're 4'11". Wow. We are live on YouTube. Jump in the chat. Give us your thoughts as we check in with Maria Montgomery.
It is a beautiful morning as the sun continues to rise here on Millionaires Row. What brought you all out today?
The Louisville Sherm Dawn at the Downs breakfast this year, yeah.
Is it your first time coming?
No, it's about the 10th year I've come to that we've done this as an organization, and so it's networking and it's a lot of fun. And
you get to bring friends.
Is it
your first time?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. What do you like about it so far? I know it's early in the day.
I just love seeing the horses and seeing everybody what they are wearing.
And you all are knocking it out of the park already. I love to see it. It might be early in the week, but it's not too early for fashion ever. So
never too early for a hat.
That's exactly. I mean, when else can you be this extra, right? So you might as well do it. Well, you all have quite the setup here on Millionaires Row, and I hope you have a great breakfast. And
thank you so much. Welcome to town.
Thank you so much. In fact, to you all.
Here's Luxor Cafe on the track, going for a gallop here, Joe, and just trying to get him all ready to roll here. One of the more highly regarded Japanese runners in this year's Derby.
Yeah, he looks really nice right here too. Again, I don't think they're looking to do too much here. You can see the rider has a nice hold of him. He looks pretty happy on his left lead right now with his ears straight up. And again, I think they're just in cruise mode this morning, just trying to go around there at a pretty easy clip.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of these Japanese horses the last couple of years here. They're not going to exhibit, aggressive training methods. They're out of the stall a lot. They teach them to relax. And they kind of just, go around there and do their thing, stretch their legs. It's not going to be anything flashy or fancy.
I actually thought the morning line was a little high on Luxor Cafe for the number of people that have publicly backed this horse, saying that they're excited to see him. And maybe you do get 15-1. It could be a very accurate morning line, but I thought he was going to be somewhere around 10-1. And some of the other betting markets out there, he was a little bit lower than 15-1 for all his accomplishment. And once again, it's only a matter of time before the Japanese take home a Kentucky Derby trophy. As we take a look at their finishes, they just seem to get better and better each and every year. As, of course, Forever Young third, but third by about, I don't know, half a foot.
Yeah, that was about as close as a finish as you could get last year with Mystic Dan, Sierra Leone, and Forever Young at the end.
Alberto Rispoli, the well-traveled, racking up the frequent flyer miles this weekend, is standing by with Andy Biancone.
Umberto, from my vantage point, I really only got to see the gallop out of journalism's work, but just walk me through it.
It was very good. I'm very happy with him. Looks like he handled the surface pretty well. He's a happy boy. When he's by himself, he's more lazy than when he's in company. But look, we was looking for just a maintenance work. We are 6 days out. We don't want to go too fast. We don't want to go too slow. I think it was just perfect. I really like the gallop out.
How would you compare him getting over the Santa Anita surface to the Churchill surface?
Look, to be honest with you, he gives me the feelings then, he has no problem going on the surface. So now on the race day, definitely is going to be different. But look, so far, he really likes the surface.
Saw him walking around the barn. He wasn't even winded. Did you feel like you had more in the tank?
I will tell you this on next Saturday. No, jokes apart, I think he really did well. He's acting like professional, like always. He knows what he's doing, so that's the privilege to riding the horse like that with the heads on the shoulder. And look, hopefully everything is going to go well from now to Saturday.
I know yesterday you had an 8:10 a.m. flight out of here. What time is your flight this morning to get back to Santa Anita?
Well, this morning is going to be at 9:20 and stopping to Houston and then go back to Santa Anita. Hopefully then there's not going to be any trouble like yesterday. Delay once, cancel one, delay the other one, and I know the Atlanta airport pretty well now. I spent there for 5.5 hours, so hopefully no trouble this time.
A little more wiggle room today, no more Atlanta, and thank you so much, Umberto.
Thanks, Andy.
Back to you guys.
I think he needs to talk to Manny Franco. Just drive to Cincy, get the direct flight.
I should have texted him. Terminal B, there's a Popeyes, absolutely perfect. But anyway.
Okay. Jockey's culinary advice. Popeyes. Here's a look at that mission yesterday from Rispoli. So he departed LAX, landed on the red eye. I actually took that flight to get here as well. He landed at 4:55, arrived at Churchill at 6:40. The workout canceled at 7:20. His flight from Louisville to Atlanta was at 8:20. His connecting flight from Atlanta to LAX delayed 2.5 hours, then canceled. Departed flight from Atlanta to Louisville at 3, stayed overnight, worked journalism this morning, and now he's going to try and take the same flight back. Not through Atlanta, though. They're going through Houston. And he's scheduled to ride at Santa Anita Day, and then he's going to take a red eye back to Louisville, and he will be here throughout the week.
Pretty crazy stuff, but again, that's the life.
It's all worth it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when Gabby was talking to Manny Franco, New York's a lot closer than California.
And the airport's close to the other end, too.
Yes, but again, that's just it. That's just what you do, pretty much.
We saw Cole battle out on the racetrack, and you were mentioning how when you were 12 or 13 and people were breaking all kinds of child labor laws to get you and your riding career started, that was the kind of horse that you would ride. Well, on the other end of the age spectrum is Lonnie Briley, in his 70s, a man who's been training for years, never dreaming of a Kentucky Derby, but the unlikely trainer finding himself on racing's biggest stage.
He's got a tough road. I don't want to change nothing. I want to run him the same way, and let him come off the pace. And hopefully he got enough turn of foot to run him down.
Yeah.
It seems like every race, there's something gets his attention, and he's turning his head and shying away, you know, but he still prevailed, you know. He won that race at Delta so easy, and if he didn't shy away from the gates that was on the infield, he'd have probably won the length of the stretch, you know. Then we went to the Springboard Mile, and he ran a good game race, and especially, you know, by kind of shying away from the grandstands, and then he's been training good since. I've had some fast horses, you know, but this little horse, he's just different. He's kind of unique, you know, and he's easy to get along with, but he trains hard. He's trying to run off with her. He's giving Bethany a little trouble wanting to get on the bit. Whew. Had me worried there for a minute. I thought he was going to run off with her. He's pretty versatile, you know. We ran him in the mud and a sloppy track and a fast track. I think he'd run on a gravel road. I'm just kind of concerned about the pace. If they have a pretty good pace and he's sitting 4th, 5th or something like that, I think he'll be a good race. And he just run 3 weeks ago, so he should be good and tight. He was a handful, huh?
Yeah, he was aggressive.
Yeah. If he wins this race, we're looking at either the Rebel or the Arkansas Derby. If he runs like he feels, it'll be good.
A good horse, man, it'll change your life. And for Lonnie Briley, this horse is certainly changing the way he's seen throughout the industry. It's actually making him seen in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, he has 5 wins. Simon really hasn't done a thing wrong running 3rd in the Arkansas Derby. But what I just like about that horse, whether he wins or loses, he tries. You know what I'm saying? He seems like he always gives his best effort. And again, he's going to need his best effort for the Kentucky Derby. He's never run against 19 other horses. But I just think it would be a great story.
Wouldn't shock me if he was in the top 4 or 5.
No,
Yeah?
I wouldn't be shocked if he won. He's a very good horse. I mean, we fall in love with the story, but an objective analysis, Coal Battle is as good as almost anybody in this field. Maybe not journalism, because we don't know if anybody's as good as journalism. So we saw the work today, Simon, but you said how important it is to know how horses work and compare it to that horse working previously.
Yeah, I think we get so tied up in one work this week. So I just want to give you a little perspective going back to February. This is February the 16th at Santa Anita, and you can see journalism working here. He's on the outside. He's working with a stablemate here, but look how easy he's going. This is 5 furlongs in a minute. He's working with a maiden here called Uncle Evco, but absolutely galloping. My point here showing you this is that how good he's been all winter long. This was a couple of weeks before the San Felipe. Then we come back on March 22nd. This is after the San Felipe win and ahead of the Santa Anita Derby. He's working with a horse called Endlessly. That was Michael McCarthy's first Kentucky Derby runner. Last year, finished 9th. This is him on the inside this time. Okay, Endlessly's a stakes winner, and again, 101 and 4, and he's just doing, I mean, it's a carbon copy, right? They've just moved him from the outside to the inside, and then fast forward to his last work before he left Santa Anita, April the 19th, 5 furlongs, working with another stablemate here. He's on the inside here again. And that's him with the yellow cap. And look at it. I mean, he's motionless. Every work is the same. Today we saw him working solo, and you can see he wasn't going as easy, but that's by design. If you put another horse with him, the risk and the chance of it going a little too fast is there. So, but, I mean, from February to March to April, now we're heading into May. I mean, that's just the consistency over the last 3 months of what he does in the morning.
And like you said, these horses are individuals. So you have to know, one, how they work and what they look like to compare it to one another. You can't just compare apples and oranges.
No, you absolutely not. And we'll do the same with Sovereignty, and you're going to see a big difference, a marked difference, how he hasn't been the same all winter long, how he's actually gotten better.
Let's check in with Andy Biancone.
Michael, we're here by Barn 42. Coal Battle galloped this morning, and he's getting a nice warm bubble bath on this beautiful morning. So warm water is used for those of you who are wondering, and this horse is certainly enjoying his bath. But funny thing about Cole Battle, he looks so much bigger with tack on. I remember seeing him in the paddock before the Rebel, and he's a beautifully made horse, walks very proud. He's got an outstanding walk and moves beautifully. But I was like, he lacks a little bit of size. And then I saw him on the track with the rider up, and it's like he grew 3 inches all around. So I really do think this horse knows he's a star. He carries himself very proud, but just something interesting about him. He's petite, he's small. Like I said, he's very well put together, but just the way he carries himself when he has a rider on board, it's insane the change when you see him on the track.
10 times. Cole Battle, as he's got the most wins of any Kentucky Derby contender. And this is a little bit different location. Look where Cole Battle's saddled. He's like, I mean, he's got some neighbors over there. He could probably go catch some barbecue at that place across the street, some shotgun houses.
Is that Longfield? What street's that?
Yeah, that's where we drove in from this morning.
Hey, that's where I parked. Let's check in with Scott Hazelton.
Well, here with Bob Baffert, Rodriguez just working this morning, putting in his final workout. From your perspective, how did things go?
Yeah, actually it went very smooth. I was happy. The track was in just pristine shape this morning. The rain was just perfect for it. Broke off really smoothly. It was just a fluid work. Picked it up down the lane a little bit, galloped out. Just what I wanted to watch, see. You want a horse look like that. Could have gone much farther. I could tell he was doing it with ease. Loves the track, and this horse is just coming around, and he's getting better and better. He's getting so mature now compared to he was the last few races where he was just like a little kid, But I'm really happy with the work, and looks like he handled it really well.
When you talk about him coming around and maturing at this point in time, with all the Derby runners you've had, does he compare to somebody who's come around at this point in time? Is there a previous 3-year-old that comes to mind that developed in the way that he has here in the last month or so?
Yeah, his daddy, authentic, I think he's come around a little bit quicker than his dad. His dad was a good horse, just really green, but this horse seems like he's got that long stride. He's smooth. He just floats over the ground, and I just love his stride and everything. So, like I said, everything's good. We just got to keep him healthy and happy the rest of the week. Need some luck and see how he handles all the pressure on race day.
How does he utilize that long, smooth stride, breaking from post 4 with the speed that surrounds you, leaving the starting gate?
Well, no matter what post he's in, he's a quick horse, and but they still have to break well. If they don't break well, no matter what hole you're going to get. If he misses the break, then he'll be in trouble. We saw what he did at California when he didn't get away from there or was behind horses. He's not the same horse. He needs to get out there. Unfortunately, both my horses are speed horses. I'm not going to take their speed away from them. They're just going to go out there and just see what happens. Just let them roll away from there and hope for the best.
What's the plan with Citizen Bull tomorrow? And first of all, why work him tomorrow versus today?
Because I just worked him last week at San Diego before I left. I worked him on Wednesday, so he'll work tomorrow and give him an extra day here to get used to the track because he came in later. Rodriguez came in the first load on Tuesday, so that's why.
All right, we look forward to that tomorrow, and thank you so much this morning, Bob.
Thank you.
Like father, like son, as we take a look at the pedigree of horses who have tried the Kentucky Derby after their parents won it. So Authentic winning the Kentucky Derby in 2020, which just seems like yesterday, and I'm amazed he has progeny in the Derby already. But Rodriguez trying to pull that off. American Pharoah, of course, sire of Luxor Cafe and publisher, and then the other Triple Crown winner, American Promise, his progeny in as well.
Yeah, 12 of them Kentucky Derby winners aside a Kentucky Derby winner, and Bob Baffert has trained all of those. American Pharoah, Justify, and Authentic.
That's incredible. that is absolutely incredible.
We're going to take a break. When we return, I think Joe needs a little exercise. We'll get him on the Equicizer. And don't forget, we're live on YouTube. Jump in the chat and give us your thoughts. We'll have more right after this.
thrilling and unpredictable ride. 48 races spanning 6 countries, each one a crucial step in the quest for a coveted spot in the starting gate at Churchill Downs. As with every year, this road has delivered the stories that captivate us. The established stars battling to maintain their dominance. And then there's the underdogs, rising through the ranks. You know, the ones you simply can't help but root for.
I don't know how you can't root for this horse.
They've all chased a piece of history, a chance to etch their names into the legendary tapestry of the Kentucky Derby. Now, the Derby Trail has reached its final destination, but one question remains. Who will be crowned the winner of the 151st Kentucky Derby?
"20 horses in this field, and each one you could write a novel about." That's the beauty of horse racing. You are not ever wanting for more stories to tell. As we had the big story break yesterday with Tapan Street, our first major defection from this year's Kentucky Derby. Standing by with Brad Cox is Gabby Gaudet.
Brad, yesterday, obviously, we got news that Tapan Street didn't come out of the work well. What did you see right after the work?
Well, I was on the front side. Louis called me, just said he got back to the barn, said he felt a little funny up front. We took some x-rays, and, you know, he obviously had a little issue right front, and, you know, he'll have surgery today and hopefully be a, you know, good, fresh horse moving forward.
All right, thank you for that update. In other news, you also had final gambit work yesterday. What did you think of that work and overall the post position coming into this year's Derby?
The work was good. He galloped out really well. I'm good with the post. I mean, he's got some speed around him, so, you know, they'll probably get away from him a little bit. He should be able to set a ground-saving trip, and if he can handle the kick back and somehow work out a trip and weave through some horses, I think he'll be right there. I mean, I think he'll definitely handle the mile and a quarter distance. He showed that in his gallop outs, and he's moving great over the dirt.
Thanks for the time.
No problem.
Always thankful that Brad Cox is so gracious and always working with the press. Also thankful that we've got Steve Asmussen's equicizer here, Rachel, once again. She's the unsung star of the show. And Joe Talamo will be showing us, giving us a little more jockey school here. I know you want to talk about Rodriguez in the Wood Memorial, and tell me why that horse stood out to you and what you wanted to show us with that.
Just the fact to where we've seen so many different works the past week and how riders kind of hold their hands, but I really liked how when Mike Smith got him out the gate, he just had a nice loose rein like this, and we spoke about that yesterday a little bit. You kind of want a little bit of tension in a horse's mouth, but we'll watch the Wood Memorial here coming up right out the gate. He's going to be in the number 1 hole here. So Mike Smith breaks really aggressively, sends him to the lead, and then once he establishes that position, you'll see him, he kind of sits up pretty good. I don't think I look like Mike, a little worse than that. There we go. But you'll see, I don't know if we're probably not going to zoom in, but I just love the way he has his hands back on his withers, and he has his loose rein, and his ears are straight up. So what that's telling me, he has an absolute ton of horse underneath him. And this is key because we spoke about Bob Baffert's horses. They work so good from a fitness level. When a horse like that can get to the lead, have their ears up under a loose rein like that, it's almost impossible to catch them just because they have so much horse. And then turning for home, Mike picked him up a little bit, and I mean, he just absolutely exploded.
Show us the difference between a loose rein and a tight rein, what he was doing on the backstretch and then what he was doing driving for home.
So on the backside, he just had like a little bit, when I say a loose rein, it just kind of
a little slack in the rein,
just
right?
a little slack in the rein like that.
If it wasn't a loose rein, what would a tight rein look like?
A tight rein is like this, just like what it sounds like, just tight. Like East Avenue work, and that was a tight rein work, like not rank, but just like into the bridle like that. And not that one's better or worse, but I typically
What's telling you?
I typically love when a horse can relax underneath a loose rein, because any other movement, they respond to it. If a horse is already under a tight rein like that, and you ask them, sometimes it takes them a little while, but under a loose rein, if they're relaxed, once you pick them up and you're ready to go, I feel like they respond a lot better.
Yeah, you know, it's like a runner. You know, you watch these marathon runners, they're in that cadence, and it looks like they're very easy, and then when the last mile comes, they can kick it in. Run on the guy that's trying,
Yes.
and there's nothing left in the tank. And again, you got to know the players, right, Joe? I mean, Baffert's horses are good like that, and that's Mike Smith's bread and butter for years, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And you see him come out of the gate, he's not like, yeah. He just drops down. If you watch that video, he drops his center of gravity, drops down to the first turn, gets the lead, and then into the first turn, he stands back up and lets the horse relax.
Why are you acting out? He's on the horse. You showed us that. Let's take a look at that stretch drive. So there he is, and he's just right above where the thing is.
Oh, this feels good, baby.
Yeah. You're starting to remember a thing or two.
It was before that, but again, turning for home, Mike just steadily kind of picked him up, and then he threw across. And then, I mean, he's just finishing with so much intent.
Hang on a sec.
Just because...
I'm going to give you a 3, and I'm going to give Mike Smith a 5-star.
Let me try again.
Let's see again. Yeah.
Why is it? Oh, there is Simon Gray giving it a 3.
I thought it was going to be a 2.
Why is Mike Smith so good at that? Why is he so good on the front? He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best we've ever seen straddle a horse, if we're being honest. Why is he so good at that, and what does he have that perhaps other riders don't?
Well, I think the fact he's been riding 69 years really helps.
A little bit of experience, right?
I love you, Mike. No, I mean, he's been, not only has he been riding for such a long time, he's been riding at a high level for almost his whole career. And again, he's ridden so many great horses that he can compare horses he rides today to. I think just helps him tremendously. And I mean, as far as an athlete, I was fortunate to work out with him this summer at Del Mar. He would go into Stairmaster 30 minutes prior to his workout, and
just to warm up.
Yeah, and it's like, no, thank you.
Right.
It's absolutely insane.
Yeah,
his fitness regimen. I mean, I'm sure you could relate, right?
Stairmaster. I don't even do stairs. I'm an
He takes
escalator
the
guy.
elevator.
I go up there.
He does 30 minutes on the escalator.
If the stairs don't move on their own, I ain't on them. Let's check in with Faria Montgomery.
It is never too early in the week to see some fashion here at the races. You all look great. Are you having fun this morning at the breakfast?
We are having a wonderful time at the breakfast. We haven't eaten yet, but we're ready to go.
Well, I'll be sure not to hold you up too long, for sure.
Absolutely.
So tell me what brings you all out today.
So I am a past president of the Louisville Society of Human Resource Management, and I always support the organization, so it's a great opportunity for HR professionals here in Louisville, Kentucky to get together and enjoy each other and talk about company stuff.
Company stuff. That sounds important. Do you talk about the races at all? Watch the workouts?
This is a great opportunity for us to talk about a little company stuff, but enjoy the races, enjoy the breakfast, and the camaraderie.
You know, that's what I love about events like this at the races. It doesn't have to be for the extreme horse fans. If you're here just for fun, for networking, there's something really for everybody here at Churchill Downs. So I hope you enjoy your breakfast. Go eat. It looks delicious. It smells heavenly. If you all could smell it through the TV, it is insane. So have so much fun today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Back to you all.
We're back here at barn 42 as we're taking a look at a couple of horses grazing back here and kind of the calm on the backside. That is a look at the filly 5G for George Weaver, the winner of the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park Oaks, and she's posing for us right now as she looks onto the cameras back here, and a very calm setting right back here on the backstretch at Churchill Downs, and she's been very calmly grazing. This is a filly by Vacoma that George Weaver trained as well, that breakout stallion that we've seen produce winner after winner after winner from the first crop, and this filly from that first crop now at the age of 3. So this is one of the great pleasures of getting a chance to be back here, especially somewhat early in the week. I know that we're come up to Sunday at this point in time, but a lot of access back here at Churchill Downs. So she's continuing to graze, and then also just over here to the left of her, if we'll pan over to the Rebel Stakes blanket that the Rebel Stakes winner is carrying. That is Cole Battle, and he has just stayed in this spot. He has really not moved from this one spot. He's found a patch of grass that he is really enjoying back here. So, and I'm also having a little flashback too, because go back to 2009 at this same barn. I can't tell you how many times I passed this barn when Chip Woolley was here with Mind That Bird. So this is a little throwback for me, and thinking back to those moments of times walking past Chip Woolley. And Michael, I learned a great lesson that year. I walked past Chip Woolley a million times. Never once did I speak to him. And when he won the Kentucky Derby, I almost collapsed to the floor because I was out here for 10, 12 days, never had a chance to talk to him. And I learned the lesson: never ignore anybody when it comes to the Kentucky Derby. And I'm not saying that this horse is being ignored. He's 30-1 on the morning line. Some may call him an underdog. He is just a true racehorse, and we're going to get a chance, hopefully, here once Lonnie Briley comes back, to speak to him about his experiences of being here at Churchill Downs after having the opportunity to spend all the time that we did with him down at Oaklawn. But there's old Cole Battle just picking away at the grass here as he's calmly settled in here to Churchill Downs.
Scott, I'm so happy you brought that up, because I think Mind That Bird is the most underrated Derby winner of the last 25 years. Either he's a lot better than people think, or Rachel isn't as good as everybody says, because in the Preakness, he was second to her, and he was coming at her too. He was the only horse that was even getting close to her in what was one of the most dominant and defining performances of her career. And he ran very well in the Belmont. I mean, you could almost criticize Calvin Burrell's ride that day and say he moved a little too early in the turn, but he still hit the board in the Belmont. He was a very good horse, and Chip Woolley did a great job with him. And I'm really happy you brought that up. I think Cole Battle at 30-1 is a tremendous overlay. That does not belie his talent and the chances he has.
Sure, I mean, he's run against Tistastic. He's run against, as a 2-year-old on the grass. He ran against Salmon a couple of times. And
he beat them. He didn't run against them. He beat them.
He beat them. And the similarities to Mind That Bird, I mean, up and down, right? I mean, kind of a small cowboy trainer outfit, you know, only 10, 12 horses, low purchase price. And they made a movie out of that horse, Mind That Bird.
This horse would be a movie, too. This is made for the silver screen if he were to win the Kentucky Derby. Cole Battle, I think he's a top 5 horse. He's definitely a top 7 or 8 horse in this field. He's got a tremendous amount of ability. His Rebel Stakes was brilliant. And if we take Lonnie Briley at his word, and there's no reason not to, I think he's been as forthright and honest with us as any trainer throughout the thing. He said immediately after the Arkansas Derby, I worked him 3 times instead of 4. I got him a little bit short, and I'm not going to be short for the Kentucky Derby. So if all goes according to Lonnie Briley's plan, Joe, we're going to see a better version of Cole Battle in the Kentucky Derby than we saw in the Arkansas Derby.
And Mike, I really, with the speed that I think is going to transpire in the Derby, I think it's going to set up well for him. If he could have the trip he had in the Rebel, he was kind of 7-8 lengths back early, found himself on the rail, moving up down the backside, and then moved his way out. He's a kind of a horse for trip for the Derby, where he doesn't mind being in tight quarters, kind of a smaller horse like that. He's gotten kickback before, which doesn't bother him.
Yep.
He kind of is a Mind That Bird type, to where he can handle dirt in his face, kind of weave in and out of traffic, whether it's inside, outside, and finishes well. So I would, if I was Juan Vargas, I would try and ride him kind of like Mind That Bird, not be 15 lengths back, but depending on pace, let him get kind of a pocket trip. Hopefully they go quick and then just ride it accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, he doesn't come as far back as like a Tistastic or a Publisher, and that's a huge advantage. He's got a 6-length head start on them when they start running.
Objectively, you take the story out, he is a very good horse and a legit contender in this year's Kentucky Derby. Let's go to Andy B. and Cone.
Guys, it's like the media Hunger Games out here, man. There are so many people on the backside, but we are waiting for Steve Asmussen to get back from this set. We're going to catch up with him to talk about Tistastic and Publisher's final works. Michael McCarthy, he's hiding out on the front side, so we are camped out at the barn waiting for him, but TBD whether we get him. Hopefully, when he does come out, I will camp out here. I will win the Hunger Games. We will get information and his thoughts on journalism's last work, but yeah, just a lot going on back here. Trainers are still trying to get their horses out and finalize their training and everything with all the crowd. It is a little bit complicated, but stand by. We're going to get you guys more.
Thank you very much, Andy. And you can see we're getting close to the end of our 3rd show here at Breakfast at the Derby. And there's still some major works to come. But from what we've seen today at this point in time, what stood out to you so far, Joe?
I mean, I think journalism by far. Actually, Simon, with those backtracks, I think I like him even more. I mean, those works in February, March, and April were really good. But today, especially by himself without company, what you notice with those works with company is a lot more focused and control. Today, I thought he looked just as good by himself, and his gallop out. I can't believe he galloped out a mile in
141. Some horses work a mile in that.
Yeah, I mean, that looked like he went out in probably 145, something like that. He did that effortlessly.
Can I just get you guys to explain a metaphor? Because I was like 38 before I knew what this meant. Well, Andy says he wouldn't blow out a candle. What does that mean?
That means, like, normally after a horse breezes, you know, he's blowing hard. It'd be like you after a quarter-mile sprint, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
walk into the set today.
When Joe and I work out, we're not like this, Mike. You know?
Well, you could blow out a candle.
Right, so if you held a candle in front of his face, it wouldn't blow out the flame. That's how within himself he is.
When we leave the escalator, I'll show you.
Yeah.
I'll put
We'll walk down. We'll walk down. You take the lift down.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to blow out a candle.
They're called elevators in this country. Careful with that. Let's check in with Gabby Gaudette.
Here with Ethan West to talk about Chunk of Gold. And Ethan, I talked to you on the phone several weeks ago about kind of the beginning of this ride that you've had with Chunk of Gold. When you look at his purchase price compared to the others in the field, very small. What were the expectations with this horse from the get-go?
He's definitely exceeded his expectations. The connections had a lot of high hopes for him, but I don't think it was as high as we've made it so far. You know, when they sent him in October, they said he's a very nice horse, he's a very classy animal, and we got him in, and clearly he's shown up and shown that he is.
How has this week been thus far? It's a lot, and I feel like talking to some trainers who have been here and done it before, they kind of figure out ways to work through the week. But for you, this being your first experience, how has it been?
It is. It's a lot. We just got down here a couple days ago. Media's been swarming us. It's fun. It's enjoyable, but it is a lot. It's a lot of talking. It's, you know, a lot of shaking hands and meeting new people. It's enjoyable, but like you said, a lot is a good way to put it.
It can be overwhelming. Talk about your family. Your wife is out here, and you have 4 kids. Is that
correct?
And just talk about the experience with your family coming out here in this Derby week.
Oh, it's awesome. You know, it's great to enjoy it, but then when your closest people are with you as well, it's cool. We all stayed down here last night after the draw. They wanted to see him his first day to the racetrack, so they wanted to enjoy that. And so far, it's been cool.
In the past, speaking from experience, my husband obviously is a trainer, and when big moments happen with little kids, you kind of have to just move on with life, and it almost kind of gives you a little bit of a perspective. How are the nerves having your family and everything, and just knowing that there are other things that you have to take care of this week?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's you know, obviously all our attention is on Chunk of Gold and making sure he's doing what he needs to be doing. But yeah, exactly. We've got a baby at home. We've still got to tend to her. You know, dogs. We've got 30 other horses we have to get to. It makes it a very tiring week.
I heard someone told me that you do some coaching for your kids.
A little bit, yeah.
What's your sport?
My favorite sport to help him in is football, but right now we're still playing basketball.
You pretty good?
No, I'm terrible.
Then how are you a coach?
It's if you can't do, you teach.
I love it. That's the strategy. Ethan, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
See, I can't even coach my kids' Little League teams because of my travel. I can't imagine a trainer doing it. You'd never have a day off, and you're constantly flying around the world to race your horses.
Yeah, I mean, I'm shorter than my kids, so I mean, I don't think they would even listen to me if I was a coach.
Yeah, and I'm English. I can't coach baseball.
We'll start up a cricket league for you. Let's go to Andy Biancone.
Journalism looked fantastic galloping out. That was my only vantage point. But what were your impressions from the work overall?
Yeah, very pleased. First quarter 26, quarter pull to the wire, and 23 and change. I thought the gallop out was exceptional.
People don't always understand. As a trainer, there's a lot of pressure. You are shepherding these horses into the biggest moments of their life. I know there was a huge decision when it came to postponing the work to today. Are you satisfied with that decision today?
Yeah, I just felt like yesterday's racetrack was fine enough, but one more day I thought it would be perfect, and it just suited our schedule.
What will journalism's next couple of days look like?
He'll have an easy day tomorrow, back to the track on Tuesday.
So will he walk tomorrow and then gallop, or walk and jog?
He'll walk tomorrow, and then we'll figure out what Tuesday brings. Yeah.
He looked fantastic, Michael. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
So, Joe, tell me the difference between a gallop and a jog, because they sound similar to some people, but there is a difference.
Yes, they do. So jogging, they're going to go the wrong way on the racetrack, pretty much on the outside rail, and it is what it sounds like. They're in a
trot would be.
Yeah, Simon, you could explain it a lot better. A jog is like, I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, the cadence. So this is obviously the end of a work, right? So
that's a gallop.
That's a gallop. He's galloping out after the work. Okay, so medium pace. I would make the analogy. A jog is they're just trotting the wrong way. Very. I mean, the slowest pace they can go outside of a walk, basically. And a lot of trainers do that to warm up. And typically after a horse works, 99% of trainers will give the horse a day in the barn, just walking, hand walking. They won't even have a rider on their back. Some of them might, but most of them just hand walk. Okay, watch him. Hang on. Just stay with this and watch him. This is going to be a jog right here in just a second when he goes by the tree. So he's pulling him up, and usually they'll jog him out we need to get that cadence right, the beat of the, here we go. There we go. Okay, this is a jog right here.
There we go. Yes.
Gotcha. So that's what
it's hard to explain it, but visually this is a jog. So he's on Tuesday. That's what he's going to do.
Depend. Jog. He'll probably jog. It's a day-to-day decision. If he comes out of the work and he's really fresh, they might gallop him a little bit, because you got to play that fine line as a trainer to take the edge off a little bit. You want him fresh, right? But you don't want him fresh to where maybe they can hurt themselves, do something.
Yeah.
You know.
I'll work that question into the rundown tomorrow, so you're a little more prepared. But I'd like to thank journalism for bailing these two guys out. At any rate, it's time for us to take a break. Want to remind you that you can catch all this action on our YouTube channel. And join the conversation. We're going to have Andy Biancone in the barns. We're going to have a look at what she's doing today. We're going to ask you, the viewer, what you want to see her do the remainder of the week. We'll be back. More Breakfast from the Derby right after this. Because Gabby's hat is awesome. Speaking of awesome, Andy Biancone has been in her element around the backstretch here at Churchill Downs as we check in with her once again right now.
There are several steps involved in getting a racehorse ready to train. Step number one, we're going to put the saddle on. So I put this yoke on first. This is often called a martingale in the hunter jumper equestrian world, but we call it a yoke here on the racetrack. I'll explain its function later on, but first things first, we got to put a chamois on. So this ensures that the saddle doesn't slip back. It's a really soft, squishy material. Different kinds of chamois are used. You can get a foam one, but functionality is the same. You just put it across their withers, and we will fold this over the tack, and it really just helps make sure the saddle doesn't slip back. Next, we're going to use a saddle towel. So between sets, we change saddle towels because obviously every single horse is sweating. So it's both for hygienic reasons and additional comfort, but we put that right down over the chamois. Slide everything up because we'll be folding it over the bigger pad. Next, the burn pad. So this pad is kind of optional, but I personally really like riding with one. Sometimes when horses are pulling on you and you're riding short, your toes can turn in a little bit and actually burn their shoulders. So this burn pad just ensures that that doesn't happen. Just put it right in place like that. Next will be the customized saddle pad. This is really form-fitting and a thick foam, so it really just helps protect their back. That goes right on top of the burn pad, and then the chamois and the saddle towel both get folded over the burn pad and the foam pad. And I'll just scooch this up to make sure it's in the appropriate position and that there's room in between the pad and their withers and it's not rubbing on their withers. Next, the saddle. Just place this comfortably on top of everything. Again, I pull it up to make sure that they have some space in between the pads and their withers to not be rubbing. Next, our girth. The nice thing about horse racing girths are a lot of them are elastic on both sides, so you can easily adjust from the left or the right versus only having one elastic. It would be much more difficult. Make this. These are the billets. So on gallop saddles, the billets are often pretty long, and that just gives you more adjustability with the girth. I'm gonna flip under him now to attach the girth on the other side, but we're gonna slip that girth through our yoke or martingale, making sure the yoke is in the very center so that it doesn't rub them or pull them in any way. And I'll just attach the saddle on the other side, attach the girth on the other side, and we can leave it pretty loose for now. Not too loose because we don't want the saddle to slip back as he walks, but loose enough and the rider will be able to adjust when they're on board.
These barnstorming segments are quickly becoming one of the most popular things we're doing here on the show, that and making fun of each other. And we are going to leave it up to you, the viewer, to decide what we're going to see Andy do next. So visit our YouTube channel. Let's check this out. It's at FanDuel Racing is the YouTube channel. We have all of this stuff, and that's where we're going to continue the program after we sign off on FanDuel TV. What do you want to see Andy do next? Add polo wraps, tie a horse's tongue, a day at the horse spa, or bridle a horse? All you have to do is go to the comments section on our YouTube page and just put A, B, C, or D. And feel free to add why you want to see her do that next. But just the letter is all you need to do in the comments on our YouTube chat. Which horsemanship skill should Andy do next? I'm absolutely want to see her do a tongue tie because we had Joaquin do that a few years ago, and that was interesting.
Polo wrap's leading the poll right now. That's a good one because that's a really important one to get right.
We've got questions. Having Citizen Bull in the 1 and Rodriguez in the 4, who gets the jump?
That's easy. Go ahead, Joe. You know.
I think Rodriguez.
Do you?
I do.
Oh.
Well, I guess it's not easy. Simon clearly thinks it's Citizen Bull.
No, well, Baffert, we talked to Baffert last night at the draw, and he just said, so he was asked a question by our own Anthony Pascal, who's faster? And, I mean, he just gave them the direct question. Who is faster, Rodriguez or Citizen Bull? There was a 4-second pause, and he went, Citizen Bull's a lot faster.
I just don't like that one hole. And to read between the lines, I think Bob said something like, oh, we're going to wait and let the jockeys decide that. Martin Garcia and Mike Smith aren't going to give a crap about each other out to 1 and 4.
Right.
Whoever breaks in front is coming over. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, we're riding for the same guy. It's the Kentucky Derby. So whoever breaks in front is going.
How about Bobby Desjardins? I think we answered your question there. Question for the panel: what's your thoughts on the post position draws for Bob Baffert? Yeah, that was the conversation. Can Joe show Rachel how steering happens in the Kentucky Derby race?
We could do that later on in the week. We talk about throwing crosses and how jockeys use the reins to encourage a horse, right, to go fast, to shorten the reins. We'll do that later in the week.
Go to YouTube, as we also have an interview with Wayne Lukas, the man with the most swag in the game. Gabby Gaudette caught up with Wayne earlier, and we will have that for you as we conclude the show here on our terrestrial network of FanDuel TV. We are going to continue our coverage here, breakfast at the Kentucky Derby, on our YouTube channel at FanDuel Racing. But for those of you on FanDuel TV, enjoy international racing for the rest of the morning. There's absolutely no question in the world who the coolest man in racing is, and it has been for the last several decades, and that is the one and only Wayne Lukas. Last year became the oldest trainer at the age of 88 to win the Preakness Stakes. This year, trying to, at the age of 89, win another Kentucky Derby. He's got 4 under his belt, looking for number 5, and he's standing by right now with Gabby Gaudette.
All right, well, you never know what's going to happen Derby week. I came over here to the barn to just check in with Wayne Lukas because you're my favorite. And I'm sorry, I apologize that it's taken me so long to check in with you. I do apologize. But we were just chatting, and then you said some pretty wild things, so we decided to start rolling the cameras. Tell me about your horse's work coming into this year's Derby.
Well, prior to the work, I mean, I was saying before we went on camera, the thing is, we haven't changed anything. Everything we've tried to do with this horse has fallen right into place. We haven't had an adjustment to make because they're waiting even on the harrowing or anything. We just have been able to do everything we want, and he's done it textbook. That work yesterday was probably as impressive work as I've had in any of my Derby horses that I've brought here, and I'm looking at 40-some years of it. So I feel really good. I don't want to trade with anybody.
What was so impressive about it?
The fact that he didn't exert any energy to do it. He went 47 and change, 59 and 2, and galloped out in 122, and it probably was easier than most of his morning gallops. He just was totally relaxed, walked off the track like, well, we'll do a little more tomorrow.
I love that. By the way, don't ignore that. Don't ignore that. He said that was one of the most impressive works of any horse he has ever brought to the Derby. That is why we are rolling the cameras. I think this is a really crazy dynamic. You have Nick Juarez, young kid, never ridden the Derby before. This is not your first rodeo going into the Derby. Do you give him advice on what to expect, kind of how to keep your cool going into a race like this?
Well, I think you have to first go to the try to his makeup. Let's say what he is as a rider. I think he's pretty much confident and got a lot of things going. As far as being new to the Derby, it's it is a demanding, emotional thing. But like that one up there on the wall, he was just a kid when he did that too. He's now a veteran in the Hall of Fame. But Gary Stevens came along. He hadn't ridden in any derbies, and so I don't put a lot of thought into that. I think that Nick will be fine. I don't think we'll ever lose a race on Nick. I think it'll be other things if we lose it.
If anything, I would imagine that Gary is kind of talking to him, and obviously Gary represents him. And it's pretty cool to see you guys keep continuing this professional relationship even to this day.
Well, Gary and I have always been tight ever since, our careers together early on for him. Mine still going, I hope. But the thing about it, I really think that Nick is a good fit. When you watch the Virginia Derby, for example, it was textbook. He rode just exactly like I drew it up. And the result was what we wanted, and ever since then he's worked him a couple times, and he's getting along awfully good with this horse.
Well, I'm definitely going to take my pen out and write those notes. Wayne, it's always good catching up with you on air and off air. I'm going to cut this interview so I can catch up more with him. All right, back to you.
The coolest man in the sport, hands down. I want to tell you something about Gary Stevens. It was, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. He was on a panel prior to the Derby, and they were talking about the riders and coming into the race. And he said, you know, you see in their eyes, some of these young kids, they come into their first Derby, they're not expecting to win. They're overwhelmed by the moment, and it takes a few times over the, you know, the course of your career for these guys to really get ready to go. And then someone asked him, like, "Oh, were you like that in your first Derby?" He's like, "No, I expected to win."
Yeah,
and that's the mental that is the mental makeup of Gary Stevens and a Hall of Fame rider. First Derby, he was like, "I belong here, and I expect to win," and that is how he's carried himself throughout his entire career, and that's exactly why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think that's the difference too, Simon. When you talk about guys like, you know, Gary Stevens, Mike Smith, Johnny Velasquez, and so on. I mean, not only have they won multiple Derbies, they've ridden in multiple Derbies, so it's just so different when they walk into the jocks room Saturday morning on Derby day versus someone has their first Derby mount.
Well, you got to have, it's almost borderline cockiness, right? You got to have, it's an air of confidence.
There's nothing borderline about it.
Yeah. And I tell you who's got it this year and who's very limited Derby experience, Alberto Rispoli.
Yes.
To me, he's got that right personality where he won't get overwhelmed by the moment.
No, he won't. He definitely has that mentality.
Yeah.
And that's being a competitive athlete. Let's take a look at sovereignty. Simon, this is the part of the show that you've been chomping at the bit to do since we started. You brought this up prior to us doing the first show. He's trained by your former boss, Bill Mott, who has a Kentucky Derby win with Country House. He wants one where he crosses the wire first, though, with sovereignty this year, who looks as good as anyone in this field.
Hopefully I didn't oversell it, but here it is. We're going to show you work from February, just similar to what I did with journalism. This is him working out of the gate before the Fountain of Youth. That's him on the outside, working with a maiden claimer, okay? So you're talking about the second, third favorite in the Kentucky Derby working with a maiden claimer. And we're going to see pretty much the whole work here. And he's going to get flat out outworked. I mean, that's the bottom line. And it's not to say that he's a bad horse or the other horse is better. But the point I'm trying to enforce here is, you got to know your horse. You got to watch him work. And he's only going a half mile here. This is a horse that wants to go further. So half mile against, a maiden claimer that's probably a 6 furlong sprinter, got a little more speed. But visually to the eye, I mean, you wouldn't look at this work and say, man, this is my Derby horse, right? In 3 months' time.
And the rider's asking him, too.
Exactly.
Simon, it's not like he's doing it under a hold.
So he went on, he ran in the Fountain of Youth, he won the Florida Derby, then he came here to Churchill, and you can see the improvement. This is him working solo in 5/8 in a minute, galloping out at the last eighth of a mile in 12 seconds flat. The dramatic difference, I mean, it's kind of the same shot. We got lucky. They had a hard time picking up sovereignty. Everybody here, we couldn't get him down the lane. But around that turn, you can see him on his own. What a difference it is. That's from February to April, 2 races under the belt. And the point I'm trying to underscore here is how, especially with a guy like Bill Mott, you've got to be patient and develop. The horse is in the right hands. Then you fast forward to this morning, where we got a combination of the both. Back to working in company.
It's a different animal.
Yeah, but not under duress, right?
No.
I mean, he's doing it all on his own. So this is what I wanted to show you, that how much a horse can improve with racing experience. We always hear that cliche, oh, horses mature, they get better. Look at this, compared to February.
Yeah, he's blowing away from another horse there. And let me ask you this, Simon, because what I don't understand is, if that's what he was working back in February, how do they know he's a good horse?
Because, he won the street sense, obviously, prior to that. Sometimes a trainer will know. He'll pair him up. I mean, obviously, that was a maiden claimer. Sometimes early on in the career, the telltale sign with a 2-year-old, you pair him up with an older horse, and then all you've got to see a couple of times is got ability. Then you can kind of gear back. He won the street sense, and then you have a real good idea. Because he worked like this going into the race. That's his work coming out. But the thing why Bill Mott is so excited is because what he's seen in those last 2 works I showed you compared to what he did. So he's like, if he can run like this when he's working like that, what are we going to get now that he's showing his hand in the morning? There should be more improvement.
And Joe, there's another term for horses that are the exact opposite. That they're called morning glories. Sometimes they'll refer to them as cheaters, because they show you all this talent in the morning, and then it comes race time, they're just not there.
Yeah, those are the worst kind to be on, because they make you think they're the next coming, and then they're not.
Yeah.
But getting back to sovereignty for a second, I think what's most impressive, not only did he win the street sense, that was in his 3rd career start as a maiden. And talking about Bill Mutt's being conservative, I mean, how often do you see him putting a horse in there? So I think that just goes to show how confident he was in him last year. And again, he's a better horse now than he was last year.
From Bill Mott to Todd Pletcher, a man with 2 Derby wins under his belt, and he's standing by right now with Scott Hazelton.
Last we caught up was over at Keeneland with Grande working before coming over here to Churchill. How'd he come out of the workout? How's he made the move over here to Louisville?
Great, yeah, no, he shipped over really well, settled right in. We gave him a little easy gallop yesterday, picked it up a little bit today. Yeah, really happy with the way he's settled in here.
What do you expect as far as the remaining days leading up to Saturday, as far as gallops and things of that nature?
Yeah, just pretty much standard training. You know, we'll do some gallops. We'll probably stand him at the gate once, paddock school him on Wednesday during the races, and you know, if he's well behaved, we'll leave it at that. And so pretty straightforward. I guess the forecast looks a little dicey later in the week, but I don't think that'll affect too much of what we do.
All right, we look forward to seeing him back out on the track. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Todd Pletcher might be the 2nd coolest guy in the sport.
Who's the 3rd, Mike?
You.
That's so nice of you. I know you didn't want to say that. You just couldn't think of somebody.
You're right. Sometimes my witticisms.
Who's the first?
Well, you're the coldest man in the sport, as you're all bundled up here. You guys make fun of me on day 1. That's Simon dressed like he's handling dry ice in a meat locker. At any rate, join the action on our YouTube channel at FanDuel Racing. We have some more comments from our fans out there. Who do you think got the best draw in the post position draw? That's a good question, Simon.
This sounds like a journalism love fest, right?
Yeah.
But I hate to go there, but I mean, he's got post position 8. I think that's great for him.
I think Burnham Square
at 9.
At 9 is really good, because similar position-wise, they're not going to be, I don't think, in the first flight if they go pretty quick, but I think they could be kind of before that mid-tier, kind of say position, 6 to 10, maybe 11 or 12.
I really, from a post position standpoint, Mike, I was here last night. I don't think anyone is adversely affected. I mean, the worst of it was the 2 Baffert runners getting close. But a horse like Publisher and Tistastic, they're drawn outside. They're closers. Sovereignty is post 18. That's okay. Yeah, I think it's a pretty good post position draw.
I think that's just about going to do it here. Oh, one more. Will any of the front runners hang in for the Tri or Super? I get concerned because you can map out a pace scenario as much as you want, but then you get these guys out there making their own decisions. It doesn't always play out on the track as it does on paper, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, we don't all have college degrees, so we just go out there and do what we do, and sometimes it's not.
I don't have one either, Joe. Don't worry.
But the only one that has a college degree is Raylu Gutierrez.
Yeah.
Mike Smith was riding match races in junior high. His uncles used to sneak him out the back door of school after his parents dropped him off, and he'd go ride quarter horse match races in New Mexico.
Child labor laws, just like you said.
I don't think they had him back then. One last one. Why are we ripping on Mike Smith this show? He's one of the greatest jockeys of all time. Really enjoying the show, especially Joe on the Equicizer explaining rein position. I'm enjoying that too, Joe.
Me too.
I don't know if you could do a better job than me, but you're doing pretty good on that thing.
I will say, though, Mike, we are going to give both of you guys on the Equicizer at one point. I don't know when, and I'm going to give a judge of that.
Yeah, you started this, Simon. You had to give him 3 stars for his position on Rodriguez here.
You got to raise the stirrups a little bit for Mike. See how quick his legs burn.
I'm going to jack those stirrups up. I want to see Mike get down and pump for an 1/8 of a mile. And then we'll put a candle there and say blow.
Blow it out.
The thing is,
I'm blow out a candle. You might have to bring a flamethrower.
Seriously. I'm so overweight, you're going to hear the Equicizer scream when I get aboard.
There's going to be a hurricane warning in Louisville.
All right. For my very dear friends, Simon Bray and Joe Talamo, and for all the reporters, they're doing great work. This show's really driven by Andy and Scott and Gabby and Maria and all they do on the backstretch and on the front side. Thank you for joining us here. Breakfast at the Kentucky Derby. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and we will not be well behaved.